Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Cryptocurrency. This is, let's see, May 28th. So we had kind of a crazy week. First thing, let me say this weekend is a 3 day weekend for Americans. It's the Memorial Day weekend. So, typically how people get their hands on cryptocurrencies to trade with is, they send a bank transfer, ACH transaction or something to something like Coinbase or something like that to get Bitcoin first and then trade that Bitcoin for any of the other cryptocurrencies. So typically on 3 day weekends like this, when it's a bank holiday, you see a lot less action happening. I don't know. Again, I could be wrong, but that's typically what I've seen in the past. Um, so this week was kind of crazy. We had about a 25% drop across the entire market, um, but it stopped. It wasn't necessarily a situation for panic. Um, Things haven't recovered yet, but they at least stopped dropping, which is good. Like I said, it's probably going to be kind of a quiet weekend, anyways. So that could be what's going on there. But yeah, definitely is a reminder that you don't want to be playing around with more money than you can afford to lose. And nobody can, predict with precision what's going to happen in the industry or in any of the markets. Um, you know, the markets are still much more volatile than the traditional currency markets. So we're going to see more and more in this. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's going to bounce back. We're going to see new all-time highs. We're still incredibly better off than we were 3 months ago. Um, so you just have to mitigate your risk and make sure this kind of stuff isn't keeping you up at night and you're not making rash, impulsive decisions. When you enter a trade, make sure that you have a plan for when you're going to get out, so you don't just keep losing money indefinitely. Um, for the people who just buy and hold, my advice would be to perhaps turn your phone off and don't check any prices for about 2 weeks, and then when you come back, you should see some happier numbers. Um, I think part of the reason for a lot of the movement this week was there was a big cryptocurrency conference, and so a lot of news was coming out, a lot of things like that. We had an interesting story develop in the Monero world. The lead developer of Monero, Fluffy Pony, he pranked everybody, as he said. Uh, he tweeted out that he was going to make a big announcement. Then the big announcement at the conference was basically saying you shouldn't listen to people making big announcements, and speculating on the price is bad and yada yada yada. He had some decent points, but unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, for better or for worse, that's just not how markets work. Um, for thousands of years, this is how people have traded goods and services. The first guy ever that decided or realized he could make pretty decent money by storing up food for the winter when it wasn't growing. I mean, that's speculation. That's just how human societies interact with one another. So that's never going to go away. Definitely, I mean, he has some points where don't maybe it's not a good idea to buy things just because everyone else is buying it. Put a little bit of research in it. Learn the trading fundamentals that I'm putting into this, into this YouTube channel. And this is one way to trade by looking at the numbers and things like this. There are people that trade the news though, but once again, they all have systems in place for how they do it. They don't just do it willy nilly. So, anyways, uh, if you did some panic sells this week, um, if it was just too much to handle, all the dropping prices, I would encourage you to reassess, one, how much money you're putting in. Um, Two, if you're just too lighthearted for the big drops and the big highs, then do some research this week into which of the cryptocurrencies were the most stable, because there were definitely some that were more stable than others. They all pretty much dropped across the board, but some not as much as others, and those are maybe good places to start out for you. Um, I'll put some recommendations in the description here once I do that research myself. Um, yeah, and had an interesting interview this week, um, with a guy that had a Bitcoin scam trying to be pulled on him. It was very elaborate, so I'm going to link to that video after this one. It was a great interview with the creator of Hidden Wallet, which is just another way to even anonymize yourself even more on the Bitcoin network. Um, so check that out if you are looking to hear a story from an interesting guy. Yeah, with that, all that being said, next week what I would look for is probably some lower trading volumes, just because I know that cryptocurrencies are global and Americans aren't the only thing, but we are a big chunk of the market. Not a majority by any stretch of the imagination, but a big chunk, and we're all on holiday and can't make any banking transactions this week, anyways. So expect things to kind of go sideways, and then we should see a recovery the following week. All right, guys, have a great day.